What is up, guys? Yellow Gamer here, and today I'm bringing you guys something relatively new on this channel. In today's episode, we'll be talking sports more in real life. Typically, when I'm making videos on this channel, you see a lot of 2K, a lot of things like that. But today, I came with a conclusion. I want to talk about some real life sports. So, before we hop right into this, if you guys enjoy this, make sure to please smack that like button below and put a comment down below, just so I know you guys are enjoying this. For today's episode, as I'm sure you guys are aware by looking at the thumbnail, looking at the title, we'll be talking about the outlook for the Lakers. So we'll be discussing not only their past, but their present and their future as well, and possible things that will be going on for that team. The reason I'm choosing the Lakers first is because, being an LA native, they are my favorite basketball team. And I've been watching every single one of their games this season, so I feel like that's the team that I have the most, I can make the most educated picks on, the most educated information about. For those of you who want me to start researching and watching other team games, I do have the NBA League Pass. I could watch every single game if I wanted to. So for those of you who want me to maybe watch some of your team's games and discuss an outlook on them, feel free to comment it down below, and I'll make sure to try to get around to watching some of their games and get kind of a developed opinion on what their team's looking like. Regardless, the Lakers' outlook. So, like I said, we're going to start with talking with the past, just go in chronological order, or fairly chronological order, just talk about the past and the present and the future. So if we're going to go all the way in the past, kind of the first major mistake in the Lakers organization within the past 5-6 years, we're going to discuss the Steve Nash deal. For those of you who do not know what the Steve Nash deal was, and I'm sure you guys already do, basically what happened was the Lakers traded they traded multiple first round picks for the opportunity to get Steve Nash from the Suns at the time. Steve Nash at that point was kind of a shell of himself, much older than he was when he was winning his 2 MVPs and things of that nature. However, it was considered at the time to be a good deal. I'm actually going to read this first paragraph from an ESPN story that was released at the time of the trade, saying, "In an unforeseen twist that could thrust the Los Angeles Lakers straight back into title contention, two-time NBA MVP Steve Nash has successfully negotiated a sign-and-trade deal from the Phoenix Suns to the Lakers that will team him up with Kobe Bryant." So to put that in perspective, at the time it was considered a trade that could thrust the Lakers, I should say, back into a title contention, which obviously, for those of you who followed that season, it didn't work. They ended up getting Dwight Howard as well, I believe, some point either that year or the year after. I believe it was that year. And it considered at the time to be a big three: Kobe, Steve Nash, and Dwight Howard. On paper, that looks like a fantastic team. However, injuries kind of plagued that roster. Bad team chemistry, kind of a lack of good energy on the court, really put them to, I believe, an 8th seed that season. They got eliminated in the first round. So that team obviously didn't work out. And the biggest issue with that Steve Nash trade is the things that the Lakers traded in order to get that. So they traded some picks over the years, most of which were late round, first round picks or second round picks. Most of them aren't going to be all that influential. However, the reason it's a big deal now is now the Lakers have to give their first round pick to the Suns. In the past few years, the only reason they didn't is because they had a protected pick, and they ended up basically earning that protection by being one of the worst teams in the league draft-wise. So due to that, the Lakers have kept their pick, but right now their pick is unprotected. It is on the Suns. The Suns own that pick. So basically, the Lakers, the more they struggle, the better pick the Suns are going to get. So Suns fans, I'm sure, are happy to watch the Lakers struggle a little bit this year. And basically, that's the biggest issue that we're gonna discuss with the furthest in the past, because the Lakers obviously are now going to lose a pick in a pretty loaded draft class containing guys like Michael Porter, Marvin Bagley. I just named kind of the top two, but there's a lot of guys. You guys look at this year's draft class; it's very impressive. Some other issues that they did was the keeping on and holding on to Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak. Now, Jim Buss, I believe, is still a part of the organization. However, he doesn't really have any say in their actual moves, which is kind of a huge plus for us as Lakers fans. For those of you who know, Jim Buss made some awful decisions throughout the years. He was known to make very emotional decisions, and in a very, I don't know, in basketball, you can't really, in any sport really, you can't make emotional decisions. You can't go with how you're feeling. You got to go with what analytically looks like the best possibility for your team. And he didn't do that. He just picked what he felt was good without doing any kind of statistical research on how that will work out, I'm assuming, because his moves did not make any sense. They didn't help the Lakers team. In fact, they put him in a further rut, and that's kind of why the Lakers rebuild has taken so long. However, we're going to discuss right now, they're kind of in the middle of they're trending upwards at least. But at the time of having Jim Buss, it was kind of a constant downfall, and they were just kind of cratering themselves. So it was good to get rid of him. Mitch Kupchak, not really against him a ton, but he didn't make the right moves as a GM. He signed awful deals and just didn't do the right stuff. And to discuss some of those awful deals in 2016, the Lakers signed both Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov to 4-year deals. Mozgov was worth $64 million, so $16 million a year. Luol Deng was worth $72 million, so $18 million a year. To put that in perspective, or not even to put it in perspective, but just to think about it, they're not worth those deals in the slightest. Mozgov is not a $16 million per year player. He's not that good, and Mozgov certainly is not, at least not anymore, an $18 million per year player. Those guys are obviously kind of on the back ends of their career. Luol Deng is, and Mozgov just isn't talented enough to earn that much money. Now, I would understand if they gave these deals for 1 year. You get expiring contracts. You just kind of keep your cap. You just keep. You got to use your cap, so you might as well just use it and get 1 year deals. But to give them 4-year deals, ended up actually biting us in the ass big time, and still affecting us a little bit. And I'll discuss that here as we talk about the past positives, and this was a positive and a negative within itself. One of the major positives that the Lakers past has been their phenomenal draft selections. One of which was D'Angelo Russell, who I personally was on the hype of. I was very happy with them taking that pick. It was considered a bad pick at the time, or a very risky pick, I should say, as many people believe that they were going to go with Jahlil Okafor. Now, obviously, I'm not. The jury's still out on Okafor. It doesn't get any chance to play in Philadelphia, so there's no real determination on how good he actually is. I believe he could still be really good, but right now it looks like Russell was the much better pick. However, as many already know, the Lakers no longer have D'Angelo Russell. He plays for the Brooklyn Nets. And the reason they lost that pick, or the reason they lost D'Angelo Russell more or less, was because of the Timothy Mozgov deal. The only reason they traded Russell was to get rid of that Timothy Mozgov deal. And obviously that sucks, because if you look at what D'Angelo Russell's doing now, obviously right now he's injured, but he was averaging like 26-5 or something like that. And those are all-star caliber numbers, or fairly close to an all-star caliber number. And some people say that he wouldn't work with Lonzo Ball or this new Lakers vibe. I'm gonna discuss that in just a little bit, how I disagree with that statement. First, I want to go through the draft selections, just kind of discuss some of them and discuss their impact on the Lakers and why I believe that these were really good picks. For one, we got Julius Randle. At first, he wasn't a huge impact. This first season, he didn't play because he got injured in the first game. However, if you watch him play, he's got tons of energy, brings a lot of life to the Lakers team. He's probably he's like their Draymond Green. He brings a lot of energy. He brings kind of the spirit to the team. And if you watch him when he's playing with max energy, he is almost impossible to stop. He is unbelievably good when he tries hard enough. And sometimes he doesn't really access his energy and he plays a little bit slackish, and that's when you notice that he's having some bad games. But when he goes out there and he really competes, with how strong and how athletic he is, he's very, very tough to guard and is a phenomenal player. Another player that we got was Larry Nance Jr. We got him late in the draft as well. I believe the 28th pick in the first round, like 2015. I believe we got him. He was a great pick. Obviously, right now he's our starting power forward. Statistically, he doesn't put up big numbers, but he plays very, very aggressively. He plays with a lot of hustle, plays with a lot of heart. And the Lakers have a lot of guys like that, and I like that. I like having players that look like they care. Jordan Clarkson being another one of those guys, you can tell that he cares. He was drafted in the second round, being one of the probably most productive picks in that draft, and he was a mid-second round pick. So the Lakers did a great job getting him. He's obviously very talented. I believe he made the All-Rookie first team, in fact. And whenever you get a second-round pick that can make the All-Rookie first team, you know you got a good draft selection. So I was very happy with that. D'Angelo Russell, who we already discussed, phenomenal player. Right once I get past the draft selections, I'll go back and talk about how he could work great in this system currently. Of course, that's not going to happen, but just why I believe he would have been a great fit for this Lakers system currently, and how things could have been a lot better for the Lakers had they not signed that Mozgov deal. Kuzma, Lonzo, and Brandon Ingram. Those are kind of the big three right now that I'm foreseeing for the future. Ingram looking like the best of the three. Ingram, first year, a lot of people were kind of classifying him as a bust. I didn't really jump on that just yet because he was playing phenomenal defense. And although statistically his offense wasn't where it needed to be, I figured he was playing great defense and he played with good hustle. That was good enough to at least qualify him to not be a bust quite yet. It means 1 year. However, this year he's tapped into that offensive potential that people saw from him in college. And clearly, it's just starting. I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job learning what suits him best, really. in the NBA. I mean, he was more of a shooter. He had some more shooting skills in college. I'm not going to say he lost those in the NBA, but his shooting touch isn't quite there yet, and because of that, he's focused more on driving to the rim, and he's been doing phenomenal in doing so. And while doing so, it obviously leaves a lot of space for him on the perimeter. So it makes it easier for him to find that shooting stroke because he's shooting more or less wide open jumpers because people have to worry about him driving rather than shooting. And he still shoots fairly good, or to the point where he can make a wide open jumper. Most NBA players can. Kyle Kuzma also looking like an absolute steal of this draft, probably the steal of this draft at this point. Phenomenal scorer, not the greatest defender, but plays with phenomenal energy. Smart player. Basketball IQ is definitely up there, and makes very good offensive decisions. That's really where his impact is felt. He's a very good scorer, averaging about 16 a game. I think leading the Lakers in points per game right now as a rookie, drafted 27th overall or somewhere around there. Absolutely phenomenal pick for them. And real quick, before we talk about Russell and his fit, I'm gonna talk about Lonzo Ball. And just I'm not gonna wait or take too much time on this. I'm just gonna say this real quick. Um, I actually am still on this Lonzo Ball hype train. A lot of people have classified him as a bust or disappointing, and maybe disappointing is fitting. I'm not going to go to the point of saying that I'm not disappointed in some of his performances, because I am. There's been games where he played awful, let's be honest. But these people calling him a bust, I believe, is totally out of bounds, to be honest. Because I believe if it was any other player, a player that wasn't hyped as much as he was, and he wasn't even really hyped, he was just hyped by his dad. It wasn't like NBA scouts were drooling over him or anything. They saw a lot of potential. They saw some comparisons to other greats like Jason Kidd. And to be honest, so far he's kind of fitting that. I mean, his comparison in stats to guys like Jason Kidd or Stockton or whoever, those guys that you want to compare him to, he's fairly similar to them. Statistically, he's struggling obviously with his shot, and that's really his main issue. He's averaging currently 9, 7, and 7, I believe, for a rookie. If you're averaging 7 rebounds per game as a guard, you're already one of the best rebounding guards in the league. If you're averaging 7 assists as a rookie guard, you're probably going to end up being one of the highest assist averaging guards in the league in just a few years, which is what people wanted them for. Very good rebounding and very good assist numbers. That's what he was supposed to fulfill. And then points per game, 9. That's really where the issue arises, but it's not even really with the 9 points per game. It's with the 35 or 31% from the field and 25% from three. There's no real answer to why he's shooting so poorly from the field. My best assumption has to be either a significant shooting slump or he's falling to the pressure to some extent. And obviously, when people hear falling to the pressure, they assume bust immediately. And I'm not really going to go that far. It's obviously tough for a guy who, with the amount of hype surrounding him and praise that he got coming into the league, it's going to be tough to live up to, and I feel like he's trying too hard to live up to that rather than just playing his game. Another reason I think he's not struggling, or he's not playing as well, is I don't believe he's being utilized to his full potential. If you ever watch the games, in half-court sets, he almost has no impact. He passes the ball to a wing player and then goes to the corner and just stands there, and very rarely gets re-involved off ball or things of that nature. I have to assume that's partially due to the play calling. So you can blame that on Luke Walton. I've heard some negative things. I think he could be a very good coach, Luke Walton. I think obviously he's young too. He's a very new coach. He's got things he has to learn as well. I think it's good that while our players are learning, our coaches are learning too. So that's why I say keep Luke Walton there. Let them learn together. But Lonzo needs to be utilized, I believe, more in half-court sets. Even if the Lakers are losing games because of it, I mean, the Lakers aren't a playoff team right now anyways. I say just give your guys the necessary tools to maximize their potential. So guys like Lonzo, let him play. Let him figure out how to run a half-court set and let him make mistakes, really. I feel like they're scared to let him make mistakes sometimes. Just give him the keys like they have. I mean, they technically are classifying as the face of the Lakers, so let him be that face and let him run plays as much as he can. And if he fails, then he'll learn why he failed and hopefully not make the same mistake the next time and give it a couple of years. And if he develops to his potential, he's going to be your guy's star player, or I should say my guys, because I obviously am a Lakers fan. But right now, Ingram is the best player of the rookies that we've drafted, in my opinion. He looks phenomenal. So when I'm talking about current issues, what I wrote down was the Lonzo Ball utilization. So obviously that's one of the issues, right? Yeah, I just discussed that. Next I wrote off KCP. And KCP was a good signing, I think, for the Lakers. He's a fairly good offensive player, very athletic, and works hard on defense. The reason I'm not liking him this season to this point, because I see the skill. The reason he's bothering me is because he's playing like a guy on an expiring contract who doesn't want to stay on the team that he's on. And what I mean by that is when he plays, it doesn't look like he cares about winning. He cares about him looking good. Because he's obviously on an expiring deal. I believe he's trying to get a lot of money. And you can tell that when he's playing in a way where he can look like a star, but he's not actually helping the team win at all. In fact, he sometimes makes the team lose because he wants to be the star. And the Lakers team right now, I don't believe has any star players, so I believe they just need to play team ball, and whoever gets the open shot should take the open shot. Because they're all very similar talent-wise. There's no noticeable breakout player besides maybe Ingram now, but all of them are still very similar in terms of what they can do. And KCP is still on their level. KCP is not better than all of these guys. So the fact that he's obviously playing, not for the win but for himself, sometimes really frustrates me because as a Lakers fan, I want to see the Lakers succeed. I'm not a KCP fan. He's just on the Lakers. So I'm not here to watch you try to take over the games and then not succeed in doing so. So he's been a little bit frustrating for me. Another issue I talked about was there is no noticeable star. The closest thing we have is Brandon Ingram, but he's still not a star by any means in terms of the NBA level. I'm hoping, though, within a couple of years, you allow him to develop, and obviously they will. I think give him a couple of years, he will be an all-star caliber player, and then, of course, at that point, will be considered the star of the Lakers, and hopefully our surrounding players develop with him, and we create, a team of some young, talented players. Another issue, and this is a common issue with young teams, is that we're not closing out games. It feels like every game we have a chance to win. In the last 3 to 4 minutes, we can't score, we can't play good defense. Everything kind of falls apart, which obviously results in us losing close games. Obviously, a common scenario. These things happen quite often for young players. It's been said in the NBA that you have to learn how to win, quote unquote. It's hard to explain, but a lot of star players have said that there's a certain. It takes sometimes a few years to learn how to win on the NBA level. And they'll get there. I'm sure they will. All these guys, I can tell, care about the sport of basketball. Some people think that Lonzo doesn't look like he cares about it. I think he does, actually. I think he just has a very interesting demeanor. But if you watch late in games, he does try to take over pretty often. It shows that he does care about winning. He just has a weird way of showing it that I think a lot of people aren't used to. He's just a very quiet player. Bad play calling, that's already been discussed. But if I want to talk about current positive, what I really like is that we're young, we're energetic, and we have great team chemistry. You watch the game, a lot of the chemistry is there, a lot of trust in each other, which is really good. Obviously, we're young, and when you're young, you have a lot of time to develop with each other. As long as we keep this young group of guys together, I think we can see a lot of potential here. And then they're energetic. All these guys, obviously, that comes with being young. They have plenty of energy, plenty of bounce, plenty of athleticism. And it really results in some interesting games. Like, I really enjoy watching the Lakers games, not just as a Lakers fan, but I believe they have an interesting, energetic, athletic team. And that, like I said, that comes with being young, and I think that helps them because in the future they'll learn how to maximize their abilities, right? So now we're just gonna real quickly discuss the future with them. For this year, I don't see them being a playoff team. I see them being maybe an 11th or 12th seed in the West. I see them winning about 35 games or so. About 35-47 record is probably my best bet with them. Obviously, they're in the middle of a slide right now. They've lost like 4 or 5 in a row. They've been playing pretty bad, and it's been tough for me to watch, but that's on another subject. So the future pros is that they cleared a lot of cap space for free agency. Obviously, with doing so, they had to trade Mozgov and D'Angelo Russell, which is unfortunate. Basically, what I want to say real quick, though, the reason I think Russell would have succeeded in the system is because he could have been just as successful as a two-guard. Lonzo Ball is much better in the full-court transition than he is in half-court sets, while D'Angelo Russell is the opposite. And if Lonzo Ball wants to just give it off to somebody else in half-court sets anyways, which is what he does, he might as well have just given it over to D'Angelo Russell, who can make a play in the half-court set. So that's why I thought that would have been a great fit. Lonzo runs the full court, D'Angelo runs the half-court sets, and then you have all these surrounding studs. I think it could have been a fantastic duo, like a great combo. So with them clearing space, the dream scenario. Now I'm saying this very realistically as the dream scenario. This is not going to happen. I'm just going to say that. If it does, though, I'm gonna be the first one to start crying of just pure joy. Is that the Lakers get LeBron and PG. PG is that's a realistic option for us. LeBron, it's hard for me to see him leaving the Cavs again. I could see that being a really, I don't know. Could you imagine him leaving the Cavs twice? I don't know. I mean, obviously he fulfilled his promise. He brought them to the finals multiple years in a row. He won them finals. So he doesn't really have any obligations there. But he grew up there. I'm sure that he wants to maintain some bonds there. He doesn't want to burn the bridge if he ever happens to want to live back in his hometown. The only reason I can foresee him going to LA, the only way this makes sense, is he's pursuing some type of career after basketball, in which case LA is the place you want to be. Really for anything, business, marketing, broadcasting, anything he possibly has an interest in doing, LA is the place you want to be. But regardless, even if he's in Cleveland, it's LeBron. He's going to have great business and marketing and broadcasting opportunities regardless. Some other guys we could also get are DeMarcus Cousins, DeAndre Jordan. These are some guys that I think would fit well. The realistic scenario. So this is a scenario that's not only realistic, but an ideal scenario for me is if we get Paul George and DeAndre Jordan. The reason I like this is because obviously I think Paul George is phenomenal. I think he's a top player in the league. I think he's really, really good, and I think he's underutilized on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, obviously, there's a lot of rumors that he would join the Los Angeles Lakers, and he shot some of them down, but I don't really think he shot them down. I think he was just saying that in order to, you don't want to be on another team and be like, yeah, I'm gonna leave after the summer and I'm gonna jump ship. So I think he was just doing what he needed to do to make sure the team chemistry is where it needs to be. And I think at the time he was happy with the Thunder, and I can't blame him. I thought for the first few weeks of the season, or the first week or two, that he wasn't going to go to the Lakers anymore because they got him, they got Westbrook, they got Carmelo. I was like, well, this is a contending team. So what's his motive to go to the Lakers? However, for those of you who are basketball fans and have been following the season, I'm sure you are more than aware that the Thunder have not been playing up to expectations. And Paul George, I believe, has not been utilized as the star that he is. And I think those two things could kind of promote him to going to Los Angeles and trying to build a team of his own. And growing up as a Lakers fan, which he has mentioned multiple times, I believe that there is some will for him to want to go do that. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is hopefully getting him. And then DeAndre Jordan, I think, fits great because the Lakers want to run a fast-paced offense. They want to push the tempo. DeAndre Jordan being one of the more athletic and fast centers in the league, including his phenomenal defense, fits what the Lakers need. They need an inside defender. I mean, Brook Lopez is just not really good at defense. DJ's one of the best defenders in the league and unbelievably athletic. I think he would fit great in the Lakers system. Another benefit is he won't have to leave LA. Most people want to be in LA. I mean, LA, Miami, New York, these are the ideal locations. These big cities, a lot of players want to play in them. A lot of opportunities to have fun and just kind of enjoy yourself. So DJ seemed like one of those types of guys. I could see him just hopping LA teams, going from the Clippers to the Lakers. Obviously, he might not do so. But I'm just saying, ideally, this is a scenario that I think would fit great for the Lakers. So the letdown scenario, because we have to discuss this one as well, is that the Lakers do not get Paul George. In which case, KCP will probably be re-signed for another year or two, with the hopes of obviously just keeping the team decent. And they got to spend their cap on something. So hopefully, KCP can provide some type of talent to the team. If not, maybe they'll get like an Avery Bradley or a Clint Capella. I mean, there's some decent guys in free agency this upcoming year. And then DJ is obviously still an option even with that. DJ is a guy I would love to see in a Lakers uniform. Like I said, ideal scenario and a realistic scenario would be PG and DJ, and then the dream scenario will be LeBron and PG, because that's a contender right there. So all three of those, even letdown, the realistic and the dream scenario. So the letdown, if they're just able to get KCP or Avery Bradley and then add DeAndre Jordan, plus the potential of the Lakers, I think next year they can be a playoff team if they get some of those guys. The realistic scenario, if they get Paul George and DeAndre Jordan, I think in a few years with those guys, then they could maybe even be a contender, or at least pretty close, depending on how the Lakers need to develop. They need to have Ingram become a star. They need Lonzo to become a star. They need Kuzma. I'm saying if everything goes right, then that's a contending team. If they get LeBron and Paul George, however, that would be a contender right off the gate. And you keep allowing your young players to develop. It's a contender without a doubt for quite a few years. Although the biggest issue is obviously they'll have to go up against the Warriors at some point, and that would be a tough matchup for them. Regardless, though, that's more or less the outlook for the Los Angeles Lakers. I hope by doing this, a lot of you guys understand my opinions on things they did in the past, how I currently view them, and um, my hopes and goals on what they can do for the future. Obviously, this year is still so entertaining for me to watch, but the most exciting part is knowing that they do have a future. Because they are so young, they're only getting better, and they have plenty of cap space to add a few guys to allow their core guys to develop and make them even better than they are right now. So that's the Lakers outlook for you guys. I know this was a pretty long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you guys want me to give an outlook on any other teams, feel free to let me know. I'll do some research. I'll watch some games. I'll let you guys know what I'm seeing out of those teams. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.